Sentinels are your 2024 VCT America's Kickoff champions. They proved the doubters wrong, they punched their ticket to Madrid, and one thing is for sure, we are in SEN City, baby.
Before we jump into today's story, I'd like to tell you all about something that we, theScore Esports, are very excited to share with you. Our love letter to CSGO. Since October of last year, we have been working on a massive CSGO documentary. We're bidding farewell to the beautiful game by looking back on some of its most iconic moments. From the jumping up to the mini drop, we'll celebrate it all. We'd also like to thank Be Quiet for helping us to get this thing off the ground. We literally couldn't have done it without them. So if you're looking for a new PC case, trust me, Be Quiet's got you covered with their Shadow Base 800 FX. As you can see, this thing looks amazing and is optimized for perfect airflow to make sure everything stays cool and quiet. Check out Be Quiet's Amazon brand store in the description below for more info. Now let's get back to today's story.
So last week, I made a video about how Sentinels, and specifically 10s, were back. And I got a bunch of comments saying, oh, it's too early. Well, Sentinels just won the America's Kickoff Tournament, so to circle back on those comments, what is up now, idiots? All jokes aside, and to be absolutely clear, I'm not like a Sentinels fan girly. I just like good Valorant. And Sentinels played some very good Valorant at this tournament.
First trip cleared, the dog went all the way around the pillar! 10s does it again! Intense on OT!
And some of you bozos might be like, well, it's just a regional tournament. But that doesn't mean it was just a walk in the park. Sentinels were placed in Group B, which was quickly named the Group of Death, and it's pretty clear how it got the name. You had Loud, reigning America's champions as well as former world champions. Then there was Leviathan, dubbed the America's Super Team, who just signed Calm, reigning world champion, and Aspas, former world champion and arguably the best mechanical player in the world. And then you had 100 Thieves, who had just signed, and say it with me now, reigning world champion IGL Boostio and Powerhouse EU. Sentinels had a wall of talent and experience to break through before they could even dream of making the finals. First up, Sentinels faced Loud, and failed. Don't get me wrong, they tried. But I mean, it's Loud, it's the reigning America's champions. In the lower bracket, they found 100 Thieves waiting for them with some extremely impressive rounds and ended up beating them 2-1. Next up was Leviathan, the supposed super team, but Sentinels managed to beat them super convincingly. Next, though, was arguably their biggest test, the play-ins. See, in order to make it to playoffs, Sentinels had 2 best of 3s in one day to play, which is exhausting. And their schedule had them play 1 match and take a break, potentially losing any momentum they had gained. First, Sentinels defeated MIBR. So then they had their break and would face G2. Speaking of your opponents, you are facing G2. Any thoughts on G2 that you're gonna face them? Or you're like, oh, it's a cakewalk, or like, oh, they're gonna be such a great match?
Should be easy.
At this point, in order to make it to playoffs, Sentinels just needed to take 1 map off of G2.
What can he get done with it? He buys time for net.
The spike goes down. There's a camera that will see these 2 players. G2 need to get out in front of this fight. Sentinels are already on the defuse. Net finds 3, but they're sticking it through. They take it all the way.
Sentinels had 1 more match to make it to Madrid against NRG. The team of the fearsome and famed Optic Core is now joined by Demon One and Ethan, all led by Coach Chet. This is where many thought Sentinels would be cut down for good. Chet and his boys always make international events, but always isn't forever.
Looping around, having to reload. Where's the cover? There it is. Crashy Saucy, a 1v1.
Oh, he's so confident.
4 bullets left. Switches weapons. Time is of the essence. And that's all it'll be. It's been years. The fans have had a reason to celebrate, but tonight, SEN City burns red.
On March 2nd, 2024, Sentinels' semifinal victory over NRG secured their spot at Masters Madrid, qualifying for their first international tournament in 932 days. But the celebrations would have to wait because the very next day, they faced Loud in the kickoff finals, the very team they'd fallen to at the beginning of the tournament. Up for grabs now was not only first place of the kickoff tournament, but 3 points towards champions qualification. That stuff is worth its weight in gold. The morning of March 3rd, 2024 marked the 1078th day since Sentinels had won a regional championship. What faced the gentlemen later that day was a best of 5 versus a terrifying team that has already beaten you, a grueling tournament format that punishes any and all mistakes, and all eyes of the Valorant world watching and waiting for any failure to cling on to and never let you forget. Was your run a fluke? Did you get lucky? When push really comes to shove, can you hack it? And maybe, most importantly, do you deserve it? Champions are those deserving of glory. It is recognition of your labor in response to the onus put on you. Many will be crushed under the weight. Zekin, John QT, Zelsis, Saucy, Tens, Drew Spark, and Kaplan, what will you do?
And now the tap on that spike. Tui's dropping one. It's a 2 versus 2. Right inside, trying to stick it. Another one to fall. It's all up to Zek, who does get the kill. Trying to stick the spike. And it gets to the fuse with the Red Bull clutch. And Sentinels are going to be America's kickoff champions.
In a series that went all 5 maps, Sentinels defeated Loud to become your America's kickoff champions. Zekin, the star duelist who has only known consistency and high performance. John QT, the shrewd IGL who is tenacity and perseverance personified. Zelsis, the proclaimed vibes merchant whose humor is only matched by his skill and clutch factor. Saucy, the veteran anchor to which the team would not be the same without. Tens, the reborn player, whom everyone doubted and disrespected for years. Kaplan, the astute coach who has put in work without recognition by the greater community for so long. Drew Spark, the clever analyst turned assistant coach who has helped success after success from behind the scenes. Through all the vitriol, online abuse, calls to drop the team, the gentlemen stood strong through it all, through their own personal struggles, and made it on top. And I can still hear you saying, Liz, it's still just a regional tournament. And yes, you're right. But these boys have demonstrated that they are championship material. We started with 11 teams from LATAM, Brazil, and North America. Only 2 of those teams made it to Madrid, and only 1 of those teams won it all. Sentinels. Rome wasn't built in a day, and neither was Sentinels. It has taken years for Sentinels and these gentlemen to build what they have today and find this level of success, some of them for the very first time. Speaking of Rome, the ancient Romans spoke Latin, and I'm reminded of one phrase from my 9 years of learning Latin. Oderint dum metuant. Let them hate as long as they fear. So the Sentinels had an activation and they were giving away free t-shirts of their bundle as long as you wore it inside. Otherwise it was $24. So if you watch the kickoff tournament and you're like, wow, a lot of these people wearing the same shirts, it's because Rob Moore and the Sentinels were personally handing them out.